the blues, but nothing ever stopped me.
Castle Stalker sits at the bottom of Loch Linney, which is one of the sea lochs to the west of Glencoe. We drove down with the hope of getting some good drone images from this particular spot, and luckily it's high tide. Well, just had the drone up and you can see just Castle Stalker in the background, and the frustrating thing has been that we've had high tide, fantastic location, just haven't got the light. The light's not great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. You can see in the background it's quite a lot of low level cloud. It's just obfuscated the sun. There's a little bit of glow on the hills, not quite enough, and the castle's in shadow, so the dynamic range is really quite strong. Bitterly disappointed. Trying to decide what to do now, to be honest. We're in the cafe that overlooks the castle. We did get a little bit of light in the end, and you can't see where I am, but we're at the cafe which overlooks the castle here, and the sun was setting literally behind the castle, and there's a thick band of cloud, but it did just dip under and give a little bit of glow. Now, I've flown the drone from both sides looking into the sun, and if I'd have had a longer lens I would have probably got some better shots, but I didn't. I had the whatever it is, 15mm, the f1.7 DJI lens on, but I've flown to the other side. I've shot looking back, and we did get a nice glow in the background. Compositionally not amazing, but not bad. So we'll see whether or not there's enough dynamic range. We'll see whether or not they'll process okay. I should have shot more panoramic. I really should have shot some layered panos. Bit frustrated, but I had 60%, 50%, 58%, something like that on the drone, and just thought, no, I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to bring it back in. Glad I did. Hopefully it's been a worthwhile little ride out to here, because I really like this spot. Just over the back is Port Appin down in the corner. There's a little lighthouse. I've shown you that previously, and really wanted to go there today, but the conditions are just not right either. So that's one for another day. Trying to decide what we're going to do this evening. I think a priority really is probably a pint of Guinness. Well, just having a quick coffee and backing up some of yesterday's finals. The weather conditions are not really looking that promising, and I think the difficulty is when it's like this, it can be actually quite hard to stay motivated. But just because the weather isn't looking great doesn't mean to say that you can't get great shots. In Scotland, you are, in winter anyway, you're often going to be faced with less than ideal weather conditions. And I think it's trying to come up with a strategy or a plan that allows you to keep getting good images. As I kind of mentioned previously, I think for me, trying to exclude a little bit of the sky and really look for compositions that show off sort of shape or texture, changes in colour, they're often the things that I tend to do. I find myself going back to water quite a lot when the weather conditions are like this. There's lots of little falls and streams around, and I'll usually try and build something out of them. Whether or not that's what we do today, I don't know, but I think it's always good to start to think about how you're going to combat the problem that you've got in front of you. At the moment, the problem that I'm combating is lack of caffeine. Having a walk down to what is one of Glencoe's most famous and actually visible cottages, seen from the roadside here. And the snow has started to come down again, and it's just absolutely awesome, it really is. And although there's no clarity in that background scene, look at the atmosphere, look at it. I mean, joking aside, this is so typically Scottish winter, and this is the type of thing that I absolutely live for. Beautiful. John's already ahead of me, he's strolled down there about 5 minutes ago, so I'm going to get a move on and try and get some shots in the bag. This looks amazing. I've shot some images with the 70-200, more isolating the cottage against that misty background, all of those trees that are catching some of this fresh snow that's coming down now. And what I've done is I've changed to the 24-70 to try and get a little bit more of this vista into view. That cottage is tiny next to these beautiful mountains, and I want to be able to try and give you an impression of the scale of these by using this cottage within the foreground. There's some layers of mist, it's very difficult to see, and I'm not sure how it's going to come out in the photos, but we're going to try and capture a little bit of that now. So I'm going to get off again and hurry up and try and take some shots. Well, we're on the other side of the little bridge here and the little stream that runs just adjacent to this cottage, and as you can see, I am just getting a bit of B-roll footage here, but also I have a low battery, so I'm gonna have to swap that out shortly. You're getting little peaks of detail coming through in the mountain here, but there's not really a lot, there's still mainly mist. What I've chosen to do is use a path as a little bit of a lead in through here on a couple of these shots, and whilst I'm not, you know, they're not amazing shots, they're at least semi-interesting, so it'd be interesting to see what we can do with these. We've worked this as much as we can. It's probably pretty much time to go for breakfast shortly. We've got to clear out of the lodge, the hut that we have at Glencoe Mountain Resort by 11 o'clock, and then it's really a decision as to what to do with the rest of the day and potentially what we do for the next few days. Do we stay? Do we go further north? I think these are questions a lot of photographers probably have when they're out and about. You know, you're taking shots in conditions, you're looking at the weather forecast, you're trying to decide, is it worth the journey, is it worth the sacrifice of the time? Sometimes it really pays off and you get stunning images, portfolio grade shots. Sometimes it doesn't and you can end up bitterly disappointed, but that is ultimately photography for you, so we'll see what we do. Little bit of a lesson learned here, always look in every direction. A couple of mountaineers are just heading off up into the hills behind, and you know, kind of walking in front of the cottage just adds another sense of scale. And we did get a couple of photos, but I didn't see them until they were actually upon me because I was so busy concentrating on what was in front of me. Nice red jacket as well. Nice to add a little bit of colour into the scene, so we'll see what they look like. Might be able to do something with them. God, it's a little bit slippery underfoot. Look at that scene there though. Just absolutely awesome. Well, it's been a hit and miss morning again in many ways. We've only really jumped out and shot at the cottage that you've just seen in the video. We've drove down into where the Three Sisters are, a little bit further down into the valley, and did contemplate going down into the hidden valley and shooting around there, but decided to come back in the hope that that mist would lift a little bit, but it didn't. Looking on the back of the camera, it's always really hard to tell if you've got something that you really like. However, there's enough detail there, I think, to still make some nice shots, and we've shot some different compositions from a couple of different angles. Hopefully we have something. Etive off to the right is still shrouded completely in cloud and mist. That's pretty much out for the moment. Glencoe, you can't even see down into Etive at the moment. That is entirely, you know, mist. There's all that cold air sitting right in the valley there. So as we said earlier, it's back to the resort, regroup and try and decide what to do, back up the shots that we've already got and take it from there. Right guys, just as a little pointer here, this is Jason Stafford, and Jason is travelling around the world on a motorbike, so with his partner Lisa. So what I'm going to suggest you do is follow this guy on Instagram. He's on there as Two-Wheeled Nomad, is that your website?
That's right, yeah.
So Two-Wheeled Nomad, so have a look at that and have a browse around. I'm going to try and post some links in this vlog just up here somewhere to his Insta and to the website. So take a little look and see what you think. It's going to be interesting. Off to Africa next, aren't you?
We are, yeah.
So it's going to be some interesting footage from Africa. I have been nagging him all last night until about midnight to start shooting some YouTube vlogs. So hopefully we're going to get to see some interesting footage. With no signs of a break in the weather, I spent a little bit of time driving around trying to find shots, and ultimately decided to head back and pick off the last of the deer images before making the sad decision to head home. I spent the last hour just wandering around with the camera, shooting some of the final deer shots. Fortunately, we had still got some snow clouds in the background, which gave some mood and drama into these images and made them kind of useful, and I kind of liked them. I shot both close-ups and some wider angle stuff to try and get different compositions. At the end, this deer gave me such a quirky comedy gold expression. It was fantastic. Just gave me a humorous shot to finish with, and that was pretty much the end of my Scotland adventure. Visit my website at www.ariastorm.com for more information on upcoming workshops covering both landscape tuition and also the fine art of post-processing.